Hi, I'm Mindy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my May wrap-up. I read 8 books in May. The first thing I finished in May was Requiem for a Dream by Hubert Selby Jr. This is a very unusually written book that has to do with the horrors of drug addiction, and I did think that the story seemed very genuine. I know that the author did really struggle with heroin addiction in his life, and I thought it was good that it did not sugarcoat it or make it seem cool or anything like that. Like, drugs really hurt these characters' lives. However, I did not really enjoy the writing style. It just wasn't for me. Some people love it, but I did not. This book had no quotation marks. It also had quite a few run-on sentences and not enough paragraphs and not enough chapters, if you ask me. And this was on purpose. And I know he was writing stream of consciousness and just trying to get the story on paper, but I think it would have been better for me if he would have went back and edited it afterwards. That's my 2 cents. But I know a lot of people love it, and I can see why. The second book I finished in May was Sword of Destiny by Andrzej Sapkowski, which is book 2 in the Witcher series. And it's another, just like The Last Wish, it's another set of short stories within the Witcher universe. And I like these stories equally as well as The Last Wish. Maybe slightly less, because The Last Wish had even more fairy tale elements thrown into the stories. This one, it did have some. I was kind of missing them at first, and then they threw in the Little Mermaid type action going on, and I was like, oh, all right. So yeah, I like The Witcher. That is the series that I'm trying to finish. Now I am working on the 3rd book this month. Next, I finished an arc of Screams from the Void by Ann Tibbetts, which is a sci-fi horror novel about a spaceship collecting plant samples from foreign planets, and somehow they get a creature on board with a thirst for blood. There was also quite a bit of drama going on, family life and crew life drama, and it was just a fun ride. Fun book. I love alien horror books. I have a full review of Screams from the Void on my channel, and I'll have that linked down below if you want to hear more. The 4th book that I finished in May was The Fisherman by John Langan, which is this beauty. I've read this before. This was a reread, and I love this book so much. This is a cosmic horror story. It's a slow burn story, so not action-packed or thrilling all the way through, but it's really character-based. It is very intimate. Closes in on the lives of just these 2 main characters in the story that are dealing with huge tragedies in their life, dealing with a lot of grief, and they help each other and themselves with these feelings of grief by going fishing. They end up going fishing in a place that has a lot of urban myths and stories going around about it, that fishermen go in and they don't come out, that sort of thing. the awesome horror elements go from there. I love this book. I could read it again right now. Book number 5 was No Stone Tells Where I Lie by Madeline Calvis. It came out June 1st, and it's a bit of a mystery, but it's kind of a strange one and has a lot to do with the psychological. It's a psychological mystery that I thought was really good. Beautiful descriptive language with a really cool island setting. So if you want to hear more about that book, I also have a full review of that one, and it will be linked down below. Book number 6 was Boy's Life by Robert McCammon. This was the first Robert R. McCammon book that I've read, and it will not be my last. I love this book. I believe this will be my best read of 2021 so far. And this is a coming-of-age story. Robert R. McCammon does write horror, but I would not say that this is a horror novel. There are some somewhat magical elements, like things that probably wouldn't happen in real life. Magical realism, or perhaps just the magic of being a boy, a child. And it's about 1 year in this boy's life doing a lot of growing up and the loss of innocence, which is a typical coming of age element. So he has a lot of situations that go on that teach him about the real world, specifically about death. And it really was a beautiful, beautiful book. It was emotional, it was nostalgic, it was bringing me right back to being a kid in the summertime, especially, where anything was possible and a journey was always right around the corner. And that is Boy's Life by Robert R. McCammon. Read it. Book 7, only 2 left now. This one is Betty by Tiffany McDaniel. This is another fantastic book, and it is a tearjerker. This is about Betty, who is Tiffany McDaniel's mother. But this is a novel. It's not nonfiction. But the characters in this book are really her mom, her grandparents, and all her uncles and aunts. And I would love to know if any of this is true or what is true. It was a fantastic story, full of drama and full of trauma. One to go into lightly, and you have to be in the right mood for something really heavy and intense. But it was really beautifully written, just truly lovely. Betty's father is a Cherokee Native American, and he was just the best character, the best dad, the best person. I loved Betty's dad. And I love Betty too. A lot of the characters were not so great in this book, but they were wonderful. And all of Betty's father's stories were just so wonderful, beautiful. This is another super standout book for 2021 so far. And the last book that I finished in May was Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Cesar. which is a YA horror novel and a slasher that takes place in a small town, and like the title suggests, there is a killer clown in a cornfield chasing a bunch of teenagers. I didn't know if I would like this one, but the characters I thought were likable. I really enjoyed following their perspective, especially the main character, as she deals with moving to a new town, making friends, learning about the creepy school mascot that's a killer clown. What was going on with the murders ended up being really surprising and not as straightforward as I would have guessed. It was definitely a fun, fast-paced book, and I do recommend. So those are the 8 books that I read in May. Have you read any of these, and what did you think of them? If you like this video, you can hit like and subscribe, and I'll be back very soon with another book-related video. Thanks. Bye.